States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Moment of prayer. Thank you.
Alderman Wadwa.
Here.
Alderman Calderon.
Here.
Alderman Brickner.
Here.
Alderman Fire. Alderman Damon.
Here.
Alderwoman Fliss.
Here.
And the meeting has been properly posted and noticed.
Telephonic meetings, none. Public hearing, none. Presentation, none. Citizen comments. Skip.
Can you pass that down, please?
All right, Skip Buchel, 2704 East Whitaker Avenue. Very quickly, thank you. Thank you to the Common Council, thank you to the city. Thanks for everything you've done. Thanks to the police department, thanks to the fire department, Melinda, the highway department. St. Francis Days did pretty well. We don't have all the numbers in, but we're definitely in the black. So that's it. That's all I have to say. Thank you so much.
And thank you, Skip, and all the volunteers that made this possible. Thank you.
We appreciate it. And the parade was pretty cool, too. I didn't see it, but I heard it was. Anyway, sincerely, thank you for your support.
Ricky G. And 2 minutes.
It's starting.
I haven't talked for like 30 of these minutes, I get 60.
No, you get two, just like everyone else.
Rick Grabanowicz, 4242 South Nicholson Avenue. I was just going to talk about St. Francis Days, but after that last meeting, I think you better be very careful with what you decide to do for this block party. I think Melinda had a very excellent idea regards to the park. Anything other than that, you guys your phones are going to be ringing. I don't know where you would put all these vehicles. He said he already had 700 people that said they were coming, and then how many come that don't commit? It's going to be an issue, guys, so really look at that. I think the park's a good idea for it. Second off, I just wanted to say about St. Francis Days, Skip and the committee and all the volunteers did such a wonderful job. The parade was excellent. I had my live St. Francis parade on there. I had 551 hits on it. And no, Don, they weren't all mine. I did not watch it that long. Yeah, so, you know, it was tremendous. I thought the layout of the park was excellent. Everything. They did a great job. And again, the volunteers that I saw, they put in a ton of hours. They weren't there for 4 or 5 hours. They were there 3 days in a row. So, great job, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any older person that'd like anything removed from the consent
Do you want
agenda?
to ask if there's anybody else who wants to speak?
They didn't sign up. I normally don't do that. That's public hearing.
I think there's a gentleman.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak for citizen comments? No. Moving on. Consent agenda. Is there any older person who would like anything removed from the consent agenda?
May I take it all at one time?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Recommendation of action from committees, commissions, and boards. Action to be taken from the licensing committee meeting held September 6th, 2022. Don?
Mayor, looking for approval for liquor license for, looking for the name,
Maya Roberts.
Maya Roberts.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it.
Next, we're looking for outdoor cabaret license for Fedinka Brewing, 3708 South Packard Avenue, on October 8th, 2022.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it.
And that was it. We passed on the extension, so that was it from licensing, Mayor.
Thank you, Don. Action to be taken from the Finance Committee meeting held September 6, 2022. Steve?
Mayor, I'll make a motion to accept the recommendation of the Finance Committee to approve the LEA grant MOU.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to accept the recommendation of from the Finance Committee to approve the purchase of a 2023 Dodge Charger.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it.
Mayor, that's all from the Finance tonight.
Thank you, Steve. Action to be taken from the Board of Public Works, 8/25/2022.
Linda, would you like to explain this to the team? No, or Mark?
Mark?
I guess in summary, I don't have the motion in front of me, but the motion in summary is that there are two grant programs that are available through MMSD. One is the PPII program, which deals with private infiltration of clear water or stormwater into the sanitary sewer system. We currently have a fund balance of approximately $490,000, of which $460,000 will revert back to MMSD if we don't come up with a project plan that's approved by the end of the year. On the flip side, there's a Green Solutions fund that's available through MMSD grant fund. You can transfer money from the PPII program to the Green Solutions program for future projects. We do have a future project at the DPW site for bioretention basin construction that needs to be built. And so the recommendation of the Board of Public Works was to transfer $123,000 from the PPII program fund to the Green Solutions Fund, or request that from MMSD, leaving a fund balance of, I think it was $373,000, and then do one alley in the project plan area, which is an area that's bounded between Nicholson and Pennsylvania and Cudahy Avenue and Botsford, or was it Denton? Denton, I believe. Botsford, sorry. I'm doing this off my memory. And so that's going to be the project plan that we'll send to the PPII program then for completion. And so that was the recommendation from the Board of Public Works on how to manage those MMSD grant funds. However, what approval that you need tonight is you need to approve the project plan for the PPII program in order to get it get it in by September 8th, so that the MMSD board can consider it as a project plan before December 31st, so we don't lose the funds.
Do you also need a motion to transfer the funds?
And we'd need the motion to transfer the funds, the $123,000 to the Greens, or request transferring the funds to the Green Solutions grant.
Okay, so then I will make a motion to transfer MMSD PPII program funding the amount of $123,000 to the Green Solutions program, with the remaining project funds of $337,542 for the construction of the PCP lateral.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it.
Thanks, Mark.
Yep.
Nothing else from the Board of Public Works?
For this evening, Mayor.
Thank you, Sean. Action to be taken from the Planning Commission for August 24th, 2022, and September 6th, 2022. Steve?
Mayor, I make a motion to accept the recommendation from the planning commission to direct city staff to prepare a change to 455-58 to allow for a structure other than a building in the city or right away, and this pertains to the In Focus photography studio at 4160 South KK.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it.
Mayor, I make a motion, I make a motion to accept the recommendation from the planning commission to allow a reduction in parking at 2235 and 2237 East St. Francis Avenue from 4 covered spaces to 2 covered spaces, and to reduce the number of 13 uncovered spaces to 11, contingent upon the submission of a certified survey map to combine the 2 properties into 1 parcel and upon the paving and striping of the new parking lot.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it.
Mayor, I make a motion to accept the recommendation of the planning commission to approve the zoning change for 1301 East Waterford Avenue from M1 to M1 special use for a contractor's storage yard and shop, contingent upon bringing the property into compliance with all landscaping code requirements.
Second.
So that one you would need to schedule a public hearing before the council could actually approve it. So there would be 2.
Have we actually heard from this guy, or did he buy the property?
Mark?
Which
1301?
1301 Waterford, they were gonna do that.
He has an offer to purchase on that property, subject to.
They actually
but I
came
think-
to
I
our,
thought- I
they
thought
came
we
to
did
our
set
last
this up
meeting too.
For a public hearing as of October 4th. That was one of the properties that's scheduled for,
Okay. So then it would be to receive, so essentially on that one, you're just receiving and placing on file the planning commission's recommendation, and action would be deferred until the public hearing.
on October 4th, council meeting.
Got that, Ann?
I concur with that.
Okay,
Ann, are you good?
sorry about the confusion.
So we're just going to direct this public hearing be set, and that's it?
Paul, is the direction then to have an ordinance prepared so that the
I
public
guess I
hearing?
need to know
and-
what you really want, because it's not clear.
Clear as mud.
The goal would be to have it approved, have the public hearing and approve the ordinance, changing the zoning on the same night. So,
Then to
So
direct
do you-
the city attorney to prepare.
so I think all these would be the same thing, where you'd set the public hearing and direct the city attorney to prepare the ordinance.
So is that gonna be for the one on Packard Avenue then too?
Yes.
That was just an approval of the change of parking.
No, yeah, right. That was St. Francis Avenue.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm confused.
Join the crowd. So the motion is to direct the city attorney to prepare the appropriate ordinance for change of zoning for 1301 East Waterford Avenue.
And set the public hearing for October 4th.
Correct.
Can I get a second?
Debbie did.
Yep. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it.
So then, Paul, am I doing, do I need the same type for the 4016 South Packard? For the B1 to B1 special use? Because there's a parking reduction at that facility as well.
Yeah, it's a change of, so you're changing the designated zoning, so yes, there would be we need a public hearing.
And that's for the
meet
Polynese,
ordinance.
correct?
Correct.
Just so everyone's aware of the building.
Looking at changing that to,
A grocery, s-
no, it's a,
It's a-
oh,
it's a
4016?
Destination location for educational facility for children.
It's classified, the name of the business is gonna be a Play Cafe. Play Cafe, so it's similar, I guess, what people would understand as a children's museum type, where you go and the parents would supervise the children in a play
they have
setting.
different little areas set up like a grocery store and a farm and,
And
you
they
know,
got
they,
two
different
different
play
themes.
areas.
And they got two different themes. One's like West Coast, California. Other one is East Coast, New York City, and that. It's kind of neat, different.
The only distinction on that one is, if I recall correctly, after the meeting for the planning commission, the applicant indicated that he may have already received a notice of a public hearing from Ann. Number.
I think Ann heard you.
I don't think we've sent any of these out yet.
And you do, and the council does have to consider reducing the parking from 39 to 21.
Right.
Okay, so again, it's to direct the city attorney to prepare the appropriate ordinance for change of zoning for 4016 South Packard Avenue and to set the public hearing for October 4th.
That is correct.
Okay.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it.
And then we're gonna do the same thing for 4421 and 4425 South Kansas.
Yes.
And that is to change that to to allow for a wholesale and distribution facility. And they just need to update the parking lot over there. They have enough parking spaces, they just need to restripe it.
They have
to accommodate.
resubmitted a site plan with the correct number of parking spaces.
And this is the,
That motion, Steve, and you need a second, or?
Yep, same
I'll
motion.
second, I'll second.
any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it.
And Mayor, that is all. There was no action taken on the September meeting.
Thank you. Resolutions and ordinances. Resolution to approve First Amendment to the Detailed Plan Unit Development Plan for Makers Village Investors Group LLC, 2517 East Norwich Avenue. Mark or Paul?
This was a recommendation from the planning commission. They had requested a change in their permission as far as the parking lot to allow for storage of recreational type vehicles and also the storage of a tow truck from one of their members. So this would be essentially an expansion of their detailed plan unit development plan that would change the designated use of the parking lot and also permit those limited uses as depicted on the new site plan that they submitted with their application. This is a minor revision under our code, and so there's no public hearing required as a prerequisite to it. If one of the one of those factors was triggered, then you would have to have a public hearing before the council could consider it.
And the reason for this was that they had all those buses, they had those couple buses parked up by the road. We wanted those cleared up, and we wanted that parking lot cleared out over there, so they moved everything down below, and they're keeping it tucked away and out of sight.
This is all for the lower
public,
parking
so-
lot, not the upper.
Yeah, it looks much better than it.
Right.
I'll move to introduce and adopt that resolution.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. That's all you got, Steve? Thank you, Steve. Discussion items with possible action. Block party, street closing, Falklandia Brewing, October 8th, 2022.
Mayor, the license committee approved the cabaret license, but referred the street closure and premise extension to our next license meeting.
And they're going to come back with more info for you
They'll
first.
come back with
Yep.
more info, so I think we should refer this to the next meeting as well.
Second.
Any further discussion?
I would just like to add that I am in favor of them holding that event, and I do believe that when we go to events, one, we park on grass many times, so I wish we could work out something with the triangle. And two, I think people around the neighborhood, there is plenty of place to park, like further on Lake Drive or whatever. You walk to events. If you go to Summerfest, you walk farther. I think that it can be made available, the streets that are close by, but, even farther down on Lake Drive, people would be willing to walk to come to that. And so I hope in the end that this does end up being approved for them.
And Debbie, I agree 100%. I think that it's good. We have a successful business down on Packard Avenue. I'd love for them to be able to celebrate, with, like, subject to rules and the way that we need this done. But yeah, let's let them kind of get as much people in as they can. Let people know that there's a business down there that can be supported.
And I thought it was great he mentioned about Burt's and other businesses that so to me, that's a plus for the entire city. So I just think we have to work it out for them.
Well, Ellen, I would agree, and I would also remind everybody, this is a business that opened at the start of COVID, and they have struggled, but they are successful. And anything we can do to help promote businesses to be successful and to continue on in this community, I think we should support wholeheartedly. And I agree, people are going to walk, and they spill out in every event we have. You had the parade last weekend, and I mean, there were hundreds of cars across all up and down neighborhoods for hours. Nobody complained. I think, and maybe they do their due diligence and go down Sevier with a flyer and tell the people, we're having a big event. We hope not to inconvenience you, but hopefully you'll come and join us.
I agree with everybody here also. My only concern is just the tent in the middle of the street.
Oh, I agree with
That, if we can put that up in the property next to them, I think that would be the perfect situation there.
And I agree with all of you. The only concern I have is to make sure we have access for the residents that live right behind them. So we got a motion. and a
I'm,
second.
I'm not going to beat a dead horse, but I think that a recommendation coming from somebody else who's had a hard time with COVID is a plus.
Well, we'll wait for the next meeting.
So there's a motion and a second to refer this to the next meeting.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Placement of tent and right-of-way of Packard Avenue, Falklandia.
Motion to refer.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Sign ordinance, electronic message signs. Paul or Mark?
So this was, I asked Mark if we could put this on the agenda to get guidance from the Common Council. Last month, the Zoning Board of Appeals approved a request by the Leighton Fruit Mart for a electronic message sign. The provisions of Chapter 380 do not provide for those currently, in my opinion. There is a provision in there, in the ordinance now that does prohibit any kind of variable flashing, changing light types of sign. There is an exception in the code that allows for municipal signs, which is how we have ours. But since that time, Mark has now received inquiries from the school district requesting 2 of these types of signs. And after the last planning commission meeting, there was another potential applicant who's also interested in them. So rather than put the zoning board of appeals in the untenable position of essentially redrafting the sign ordinance, I asked Mark if we could talk to the council this evening to get guidance from the common council as far as, the extent to which the council is open to these types of signs, and if so, where. Obviously, if you want to do it, then typically these types of sign regulations would be more expansive in nature and have limitations as far as the, time, place, and manner. So, for example, do you want them right across the street from a residential neighborhood would be a concern. Time of day types of things, distraction to oncoming traffic. I do have a caveat as far as your consideration in that regard. When you do get into electronic messaging signs, you also get into potential First Amendment issues. And so, it's essentially, becomes difficult after you approve of an electronic message sign to start giving limitations as far as what the message is that's put on the sign. Right now, essentially, our code only allows for information such as the street address and the name of the business. This would obviously expand on that on a wider basis than simply for the city's use, that we have our sign for. And so, you know, when you get into First Amendment issues and prior restraint as far as what people can say, now we get into a well-protected constitutional issue. So you could have other messages pop up that, you know, that you may not be able to regulate in the future. And I would recommend that you assume that you won't be able to fully regulate what the sign says. So with that said, again, we're looking for guidance as far as, you know, to what extent the council wants to essentially, you know, permit these types of structures, and if so, you want to see an ordinance draft that would specifically address them.
So how did the high school get theirs?
Municipal exception, right?
No, he said we had the only sign at City Hall. The high school has, St. Francis High School has,
I had no issues with it for the market. It was on Layton Avenue. So, and I stated at the point, it wasn't as if it was directly across the street from a residential area. That area is nothing but business, and I don't have an issue with the sign being there. It's actually lower than the sign that they have right now. That's on the. It's going to be lower than the sign that they have on a post right now.
Yeah.
And I also don't have issues with the electronics and the sign due to the fact that it is on Layton Avenue and it's a business district. And I assumed that we were going to be making point-by-point decisions on other businesses in regards to where they were located and all of that. I thought that that was a given.
Mark, do we get any complaints about the city sign here? Because it's across from a residential area. You know, my thought is, depending on like percentage of the sign that's taken up, frequency of the message, how bright it is at night, things like that should be kind of thought of as well.
And maybe the location, like we talked about, like, so, yeah, if it's not glaring in my front window or something, if there was a sign.
So
I think-
not to provide confusion here, but the school district has applied for variances on two signs, one at Willow Glen and one at Deer Creek. And so when I told Paul that they had applied for variances because our sign code does not permit electronic message signs, you have to get a variance to get every electronic message sign in the city. Paul indicated that it would be better if we changed the ordinance to permit the school to have electronic message signs rather than go through the zoning board of appeals in order to permit those electronic message signs. So I think that's really what's before you tonight is, do you wish to have Paul change the or do you wish to have Paul rewrite the ordinance to permit the school, like we did with the scoreboard at the high school? We changed the ordinance, added one line to say, except the school district may have a scoreboard, and make it really simple for the school district. Yes, the school district can have an electronic message sign of 15 feet or whatever at each location. I think that's really what's to be discussed tonight, rather than discuss the whole sign ordinance.
But I think, you know, like with those two schools, they are like right across the street too. I think there's gotta be some parameters. I mean, I love Deer Creek and Willow Glen, don't get me wrong, but I mean, I know people that live right across the street from Willow Glen, and I know people that live right across the street from Deer Creek, so, I mean, we probably, I would think it would be common sense how they would put up an electronic sign, but don't we need some kind of guidance there?
I think there's something to be said for the angle at which the sign is to the street. Like, this is perpendicular here, and I don't think it's shining in anybody's window across the street. And so maybe that could be a parameter that we talk about as
If I
well.
could piggyback on it, the time too, like 9 PM, it could shut off, something like that.
So the current sign at Deer Creek is a sign that faces the road. It's not perpendicular to KK. So they want to replace the sign, and they want it 15 feet tall because they want it above the wrought iron fence. So it would be flashing directly into Sacred Heart across the street. Right? So I think the thought would be is that if they're gonna put that sign, we don't want people to be looking at the school property to see the sign, especially if it's the parents waiting in line to bring their children to school, you'd want the sign to be perpendicular to the street rather than facing the street. The same is true at Willow Glen. I mean, if I lived across the street from Willow Glen and there's an electronic message sign for the school, I mean, I'm not interested in seeing an electronic message sign for the school at 10 o'clock at night, right? So I think those are all things that, but again, I think what's before you or what we're asking is for Paul to look at the sign ordinance and allow the school district to not have to go to the zoning board of appeals in order to have electronic message.
I would make that recommendation due to the fact that even if the city was in favor of the electronic sign, we still had to go through that step, which didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. If we were not fighting the issue of the sign as a city, it didn't make any sense to me that it had to go to the Board of Appeals unless we had issues with it. So that's where I'm at with that.
I'll second Don's motion.
Any further discussion?
What is the motion?
To direct the city attorney to prepare the appropriate ordinance changes to allow for electronic signs for the St. Francis School District at each district location.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Appointments to committees, commissions, and boards. None. Correspondence with possible action or referral to committees, commissions, and boards. Correspondence dated August 31st, 2022, from Chief Poplar for training travel request. Chief, would you like to expound on that?
All right, I went to this in 2019. Due to the virus and everything that came with it, it's been canceled the last 2 years. Since then, retired St. Francis firefighter. He was actually an MPO, a motor pump operator, when he retired. Bob Reese passed away in January of 2020. He retired in 2003 after 29 years of service with the city of St. Francis. I actually replaced him when he retired. He was my full-time spot. As it pertains to the IAFF and as it pertains to our occupation, his death, his cancer was declared career-related. So he was, his death status was essentially a line of duty death. His name is going on the wall out at the memorial in Colorado Springs, which is the International Fallen Firefighters Memorial. It's going to be forever memorialized on there. Our Firefighters Association, the union, is actually flying Bob's family out there to receive a flag and to see his name being put on the wall. So I'm, in addition to the ceremony, it's a training session, kind of a symposium, and Milwaukee Fire Department was nice enough to offer up, because I would be going with members of area departments, including our own in Milwaukee. They've offered up one of the Sprinter vans, like a multi-passenger van that they got from the Democratic National Convention. It was one of the vans that was for transporting their personnel. Have offered for us to use it to take out there, so that we wouldn't have to rent a car or put the mileage or ask for mileage on any of our own vehicles. So it's for the purpose of it and for our own retiree, and requesting the travel out there to attend and to be part of the ceremony and the training and everything involved with it, including taking care of the family.
I'd make a motion to approve the travel request.
Second.
Any further discussion?
That's awesome, Chief.
Yes, thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Correspondence dated July 21st, 2022, from Makers Village Investors Group, amendment to PUD to permit outdoor storage. Mark or Paul?
This is, I believe, what was
Right.
acted upon, so I think you could just receive and place on file and
Also move.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Unfinished business? None. Other business? None. Department heads, Melinda?
I just want to say thank you to everybody that participated in St. Francis Days. I think this is the first one in 17 years that I was unable to attend. I sent my better half anyway, and everybody would rather see and talk to him. He's a much nicer person than I. But just thanks to everybody. The St. Francis Days group works very, very hard. Civics Association works very, very hard. They put in so many hours, and it really makes it such a great event. And it's such a wonderful thing for such a small community to do such a huge event, and it's just really a great thing. And I just want to make sure everybody gets recognition and thanks. And I will be there next year. Hopefully, I don't have anything barring that. With that, I pass.
Thank you. Chief Poplar?
Again, thank you for approving that travel request. It means a lot to our department and representing our city and our state out there. I'm going to echo Melinda's comments. A job well done on St. Francis Days, both the parade and the event itself. Inside our department, we did receive our pickup truck. Received it from the graphics shop today, so our replacement truck is almost ready to be put in service. It just needs some lighting, which will be done in house. A lot of training with our new people, and happy to announce that the Fall Joint Fire Training Academy will be starting this month, and we are sending one new firefighter. And we have our one of our interns that started at the beginning of this month with his paramedic program at MATC. So things are moving right along with that. So, and with that, I pass.
Thanks, Chief. Chief Hunter?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to echo as well St. Francis Days. I was not there as with my mother and father. However, there were a lot of comments made to me and from others outside the community regarding St. Francis stepping up once again, and it was nice to see the rides and St. Francis coming back to its former glory. The Lions Fest is always a big draw, but I think we stole some of their thunder, which is good from Oak Creek. I think some of the rides and whatnot, everybody that had anything to do with St. Francis Days this year did a great job, and I think it's only going to grow from there. And it's all a benefit to the city, and it's a tribute to those who put their blood, sweat, and tears into this event. We had our first day of school today. It was somewhat chaotic when it comes to traffic. The new design at Willow Glen actually worked out fairly well. However, Deer Creek is, we thought Deer Creek or Willow Glen was going to be the problem. It was actually Deer Creek. There's some confusion when you leave Deer Creek, when you exit onto KK. They have a left turn arrow and a right turn arrow. When there's a sign there that says no left turn onto KK between X amount of hours, this time and this time, we almost had 6 head-on collisions. We pulled over 13 cars today, issued warnings on each one, just trying to inform the parents that that's not allowed. We're going to have to get in contact with the school to try to put a letter out to the parents that there is no left turn during school hours onto KK from Deer Creek, as that's going to create a hazard or an injury. I also wanted you all aware that...
And Chief, that sign has been there for how many years?
Chief, would it be possible to ask the school to put like a barricade across the left turn lane to make it more obvious?
A large cone with a sign right on it in the actual lane telling them that.
Yeah, we can do that. We had eventually we put a squad there, and just the squad directed traffic. I mean, that's what we had to do because it was just getting that out of control. So the other thing I wanted you all aware, you may have noticed on KK and Howard, we do not have a crossing guard at this time. Just a quick history. When we first moved into this building, we had a transportation bus that went from Willow Glen to Deer Creek and back and forth, which transferred kids back and forth. Once that stopped, once the bus stopped, then Chief Kabish, because of the traffic and whatnot, wanted a crossing guard at that location. That crossing guard at that location is not within a school zone, therefore we are not required by state law to have a crossing guard placed at that location. It's not that we don't want to, we just can't hire one at this time. We have the highest paid salary or hourly wage for crossing guards. Cudahy is hiring at $13 an hour, we're at $17.51. We can't get anybody, Cudahy can't get anybody. If you know anybody who is looking to do some crossing guard in the morning and afternoon, we would love to do it, Rick. That would be great. It's only an hour in the morning, hour in the afternoon.
I think you were voluntold. Voluntold.
Don's retired. And law enforcement experience.
Could not pay me enough money to stand in the middle of the street, I'm sorry.
So with that said, we went all summer and we had no issues. We're gonna have squads monitor. We had 3 kids cross the road this morning and we had 2 in the afternoon on KK and Howard, and they followed the lights. We weren't there. We were actually in the We Energies lot watching. It's just a concern just because of the street. However, that's not within the school zone. But I wanted you aware, so if you did drive past and did not see a crossing guard, we lost 2 crossing guards last year, Willie and Anna Truitt. Willie, as you all probably know, was a stable there, and he was a force to be reckoned with. He's not a forever gone. He's just, due to family matters and whatnot, he had to bow out for probably the next couple of years. So we're just trying to retrain the parents again, once again, on traffic patterns and whatnot. And I like your idea about the cone. I'll reach out to the school administrator tomorrow, superintendent, I'm sorry, Deb, and see if we can do something about that, because it is obviously a problem and a concern. So, and with that, I pass.
Thank you, Chief. And I have actually gotten 6 calls on that today, that people want to have that left-hand turn. Try to explain it as much as I can, but I need to talk with Melinda and you before I respond to them. So they'll be on our calendar for Thursday. One of this, 13? I got it written down. Thank you. Ann?
Nothing, I pass.
Teach Sean
I would like to teach you all that.
Paul?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll withhold my comments for the closed session.
Thank you. Mark?
Thank you, Mayor. The closed session tonight will be in this room, so you really don't need to take a break in between. We can go right into closed session and be able to get out of here in a very short period of time.
Unless
I
someone
think.
needs a bathroom break,
Okay.
No,
which would be me.
give a bottle.
Thank you. Matt?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Just welcome to fall, everyone, and happy school year. And thanks to everybody who helped out for St. Francis Days. I've heard nothing but excellent things, and that's all I have tonight.
Thank you, Matt. Steve?
I'll pass this evening, sir.
Thank you, Steve. Don?
First of all, I just want to say that St. Francis Days was a huge success. Thank you to all the volunteers, everybody that was there for days and days. The bands were good, the food was good, the setup was good, everything was great. I actually haven't gotten
Problems with some of
one,
the volunteers, though, on Sunday.
I haven't actually gotten one complaint. So,
No.
but Ireland worked all day on Sunday.
From 11.
So with that, I pass for Hidden Ponds. I'm in Utopia.
Thank you, Don. Debbie?
I too just want to thank everybody that was involved in St. Francis Days. I was out of town, but I had lots of friends and neighbors, everyone that attended, had nothing but praise about the parade and all the festivities. So I think it's one of the better ones in many years, and everybody was happy. So thank you to all who made it successful.
Even the Nirvana band on Saturday night?
Smells like Nirvana.
That's something.
Yeah. Thank you, Debbie. Sarah?
Yes, thank you, everybody that helped out with St. Francis Days. I have to say that historically, I don't think I've ever really gone there. When my kids were little, we had out-of-town things always for Labor Day right before school started. And when my younger son was a little older, we did a lot of football travel, and that was always on all the holidays, Labor Day, Memorial Day, Thanksgiving week. It was just a crazy time. So I really didn't know what to expect because the last couple of years there wasn't a parade and there wasn't much of a festival either. And so thank you to Alderman Brickner and his family. I was fully prepared to walk the parade. I was going to do it, and it was hot as heck that morning. So they invited me into their vehicle, and it was really a lot of fun. So thank you to everybody, and again, thanks, Don and your family. That was a great time.
Thank you, Sarah. Sean?
I'll try to be brief. So, 2.5 years I avoided the illness. I got it last week and could not come to St. Francis Days, and that was very difficult for me because it's a lot of camaraderie. I spent a lot of time with our peers here and our volunteer and the department heads, and it was very hard to sit at home and not be part of that. It's the one time a year I really volunteer my time with the Lions, and I feel like I failed them as well. But I heard nothing but positive comments, and I'm looking forward to an even bigger, better event next year. And to all of you who did help, I appreciate you being there. And with that, I'll pass.
Thank you, Sean. 58 years St. Francis Days has been going on. Always very, very good. But this year was probably one of the best in a long, long time. My hat off to the Lions Club, the Civic Association, and Concerts in the Park. Ann, helped her on that too?
No.
Okay.
Civic Association Lions and St. Francis Days.
Thank you.
Or the city.
They hit a home run. But they couldn't do it without the DPW, fire department, and the police. Especially for the parade and the park setup and everything, barricades. My hat's off to all three of you and all your workers. Awesome job. Awesome. And with that, Ann?
We're going to convene into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute, Section 1985-1E, for the purpose of deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session. Item for discussion, Hidden Ponds Development, and I need a motion first.
Motion to convene the closed session.
Second.
Okay, 1 second, please. And Alderman Damon,
Aye.
Alderwoman Fliss,
Aye.
Alderman Calderon,
Aye.
Alderman Fire,
Aye.
Alderman Brickner,
Aye.
and Alderman Wadawa.
Aye.
Motion carries.
We will be going into closed session with a 1-minute bathroom break.